You know how Netflix always seems to know exactly what show you'll want to watch next? Or how the weather app on your phone is so confident about that chance of rain? Well, we're surrounded by tech that's trying to guess what's coming. Today, we're going to pop the hood on the engine that drives all of it, predictive analytics. See, at its very core, that's really the simple but incredibly powerful question that this whole field is built on. It's not about some magic crystal ball, not at all. It's about finding patterns in what's already happened to make a really smart, calculated bet on what might happen next. So, let's start at the beginning. To really get how predictive analytics works, we need to have a super clear idea of what it actually is. Okay, so here's the official kind of textbook definition, but let's break that down into plain English. You take a ton of historical data. That's just a fancy way of saying everything that's already happened. And then you unleash these powerful algorithms to find hidden connections. And the goal, this is key, isn't to be 100% certain. It's all about calculating the likelihood, the probability of what might be coming down the pike. This is probably the best way to think about it. Your weather app doesn't just, guess, it chews through decades of historical weather data, humidity levels, pressure systems, all to give you that 80% chance of rain. Predictive analytics takes that exact same logic and applies it to, well, almost anything you can imagine, from what you might buy next to stock prices or even when a giant piece of machinery is about to break down. All right, so we get what it is, but how does it actually do all this? Well, it's not one single thing. It's more like a toolkit packed with powerful statistical models, and each one is designed to answer a different kind of question. So, when you get right down to it, you're usually trying to do one of two things. If you need to predict a specific number, like the price of a house or the temperature tomorrow, you're going to use something called regression. That answers the question, how much? But if you need to sort something into a category, like is this email spam or not spam, or is this transaction fraudulent, you'll use classification. That answers the question, which one? And picking the right tool is always the first, most important step. And oh yeah, the toolkit doesn't stop there. You've got time series forecasting. That's how a company can predict its sales for the next quarter based on all the previous quarters. And then there's something called clustering, which is how a service like Spotify can discover brand new groups of listeners based on their taste in music, groups they didn't even know existed before. Every single tool in this kit is specialized for a different kind of prediction puzzle. Okay, this is where it gets really fun. Let's see these tools out in the wild. This is where all the theory gets real and starts to affect our lives every single day, often in ways we don't even notice. So, predictive analytics isn't some niche tech for just one industry. It is everywhere. And you can see here, its impact is spread pretty evenly across these four huge areas: how businesses run, how they market to customers, the world of finance, and even broader technology that affects all of society. Let's dig into a few examples from each. For businesses, this stuff is basically a superpower. Think about predictive maintenance. A factory can get an alert to fix a machine before it breaks, saving them from a costly shutdown. Or with demand forecasting, a store can know exactly how many winter coats to stock, so you never have to see that dreaded sold-out sign. And when it comes to us, the customers, oh, they're definitely trying to predict what we'll do next. Ever get a really sweet deal from your cell phone provider right when you were kind of thinking about switching? Yep, that's customer churn prediction. And with sentiment analysis, a company can scan thousands of online reviews in a flash to see if people are loving or hating their new product. The financial world is practically built on this stuff. That instant text message you get from your bank when you make a purchase in a different city, that's a predictive model that knows your usual spending habits so well, it can flag something that looks out of place. It's the same core idea behind credit scoring, which helps lenders figure out the risk of a new loan almost instantly. But this technology goes way, way beyond just business and finance. In healthcare, it's being used to help predict disease outbreaks before they have a chance to spread. In the energy industry, it helps balance the entire power grid during a heat wave. Seriously, from public health to managing our resources, predictive analytics is becoming this vital tool for tackling some of our biggest challenges. So it's clear we have this incredibly powerful toolkit that is changing our world. But as these models start to make more and more really important high-stakes decisions for us, we have to start asking some pretty serious questions about how they're built and, more importantly, how they're managed. And that brings us to this idea of governance. It sounds a little corporate, I know, but it's crucial. You can't just build one of these amazing predictive models and then just walk away. Governance is the framework, the whole process for keeping an eye on these models to make sure they're still working the way they're supposed to, that they're transparent, and that they're fair. Exactly. Just think of it like that. A rule book for prediction. It's what holds these complex automated systems accountable to us, to actual people. It forces us to ask tough questions like, is the data we're using to train this thing biased? Can we explain why it made a certain prediction? And maybe most importantly, is it still going to be accurate a year from now? This is what builds trust. Which really brings us to the biggest question of all. These models can give us the probabilities, the forecasts, the likelihoods, but they don't make the final call. We do. As this technology gets better and better, our human responsibility to use it wisely, to use it ethically, only gets bigger.